What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ty here. It's Friday, and we're gonna do some modeling and rendering. Hopefully, you guys could all join in. Hopefully, you guys have gotten your software so far that you need, and you guys are kind of ready to rock and roll. I know last week or last class I said, we're gonna start our latest project. And yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do today. But I want to give you guys a quick rundown as to the 3ds Max interface, how that all works, and answer maybe any questions that you guys have. If you were wondering if Maya and Max are the same program, they're not the same program. They're actually two different programs, but they are relatively geared towards different things. So Maya's geared towards more animation, and 3ds Max is geared more towards modeling, but both can do vice versa, and they do it pretty well. Maya, on the other hand, is just really the industry standard for animation and rigging and things like that. So if that's a question that you guys have, then that's the case. Like I said before, I'm going to teach you guys the basics of modeling, the fundamentals. Hopefully that transfers into any program that you want to use. You just need to look for those certain buttons, those certain things, and you should be good to go. All right. So let's dive in. Okay, so whenever you open up 3ds Max, this is pretty much what you're going to see here. Alright, so what you're going to see is this here interface, and it's pretty simple, but it can get complex if you get into the weeds. What I'm doing here is I'm expanding my modifier panel, and what yours might come as is something like this, but just so you know, you can extend it, because a lot of the times if you're going to use like a modifier or something, it might extend to like 2 pages, and instead of scrolling, right, you can just pull this apart. And just so you guys know, I do have just so you guys know, I already have a tutorial on my YouTube where I go over the entire interface. This is just kind of a refresher, get you guys up to speed pretty quickly on this guy. And yeah, that's it. That's my little disclaimer. So so here's your viewport, right? These are your 4 quadrants that you get in 3ds Max, and these will help you kind of move around in 3ds Max. Alright, so if I Alt and middle mouse, I can rotate around. And I usually have, let me see if I have my no keyboard here ready for you guys to use. I'm going to try to see if I can find it. One moment. If I don't have it for the next class, I will have it, which will be just like an on-screen keyboard, so that whenever you guys watch this back, you're not kind of guessing what I'm doing or what buttons I'm clicking, and it'll be a lot easier for you guys to kind of understand what's going on. So if I can't find it now, I'll make sure I download it, because I might not have it on here. That might be it. Let me see. No. Let's do one more search. it, so I'm just gonna use it just because it makes it a little easier to show you guys stuff, and I don't have to kind of go. You guys are gonna have questions about what buttons I'm pushing, and it'll just make it just that much easier for you guys to use. So let me throw it in my assets here. Drag it and drop it. Okay, I've got that. Let's see. Let's add. Okay. Alright, so you guys should be able to see it on screen now. So it should be right over here to the left a little bit. So now whenever I hit a button, you'll be able to see what button I'm pushing. Next class I'll have one with my keystrokes and my with my mouse movement. Much better. Alright, so you can see my mouse movement as well now. So let's get back to this quick demo of the interface. Here are our 4 quadrants. Now if you see, I'm hold down Alt middle mouse, right? And now I can orbit around or rotate. So if I hit P on my keyboard, it takes me into the perspective mode, right? So if I hit Alt W, that's how I went into this. Sorry about that. So and some of these are just keystrokes and that I know over time, and I don't even think about them while I'm doing them. So it'll be good that you guys kind of have this on-screen keyboard now. So Alt W, maximizes whatever window you're in. So Alt W. So if I Alt W select here, Alt W to the front view, Alt W to, and that takes me in and out of it. So if you look up here, you've got this little information deck, and the good thing about these is you can click them and they all have different things that they do. So like right here, I can adjust my camera, my lights. I can go between those modes. So here, if you look at these, right, when I hit P to go into perspective mode, all right, let me show you the difference. If you guys don't understand what I mean by perspective mode, so let me draw a box, right? So whenever I draw a box in orthographic mode, right, so if you go into your front view, this is an orthographic view. And what that generally means is the way you're looking at the object is the way it is in geometrical space, in the sense that whenever I rotate around, it's gonna keep this true, these lines straight perpendicular, no matter what I do, no matter what view I rotate it into. There's not any kind of perspective shift going on. What our eyes generally do is it gives things perspective. So if you follow like vertical lines or like diagonal lines that go into the horizon, you'll see that at some point they disappear, right? If you do any like 1 point perspective line or anything, you see that all your perpendicular angles or all your lines, they'll always meet at 1 point. That's kind of what our eyes do. I think our eyes see it either 35 or 45 degree. That's like the cone range of our eyes, and that's, you know, that's what the perspective view. So if I hit P on the keyboard, you'll see that now our perpendicular lines that would never ever meet in orthographic views, if we kind of drew this line out, and we hit F4 on the keyboard to bring up my wireframe, if we drew a line, right, they meet at some point in time, because now it's giving it a little bit of perspective shift. And that perspective shift is what our eyes do naturally, right? That's why things don't look as parametric as they would in your orthographic view. So this view is your orthographic view where everything is correct, right? These lines will never, ever, ever meet, no matter what, just, you know, based on that view. And it's not affecting the model at all. It's just how we're viewing the object, right? So don't think because you're in perspective, you're doing something to the model. Don't think because you're in orthographic, you're doing something to the model. All it means is this is how you're viewing it. You're viewing it in its true form, or you're adding a bit of perspective range to it. So that's how you should think about those views. So if I hit F on my keyboard, it's going to take me to the front view. And if I hit Z, which I always do, it zooms into whatever object I have selected. And that's like a habit that I have, you know, that I didn't even think about. I just kind of, I hit FZ, and, you know, just to bring them, bring me focus on whatever object I have. So I'll show you how that works. So I'll draw a sphere, geosphere, I don't know what the difference was, cone, 3-step operations. Alright, so if I select this guy and I hit Z, it's going to zoom into that. It's going to frame that in our window, make that the most prominent. Alright, and if I don't have anything selected, it's just going to zoom into all the objects in the scene. Alright, so that's, you know, some basic navigation. So Alt middle mouse, you rotate. The middle mouse scroll wheel allows you to zoom. F lets you go into front view. Then L is for left view. Right? T is for top down. Right? If you go to, this is your top down view. This is top, front, left. Right? And to go into the other views that don't have maps, or they're not mapped to any keys, what I'll usually do is I'll hit V, and this pulls up a list of all the views that I can have, and I can go into the right view. If I hit V again, I can go into the bottom view, right? And then I can go into, you know, either isometric or a perspective view, or I can even go into a camera view if we have a camera in there. So this is a video that you might have to come back to every once in a while for these tips and tricks, because, you know, you might forget them as you're modeling. So As usual, I'm recording this entire session so that you guys can have it for posterity, or whatever, however they say that. But yeah, so that is how you do that. So now let's talk about creating objects. So if I hit G on my keyboard, so let's go to the top down. If I hit G, that gets rid of my grid. So if you're modeling and you're like, I'm tired of seeing this pesky grid, it's in my face, it's annoying the crap out of me, just hit G on the keyboard. It makes that bad boy disappear. All right. And if you're completely lost, right, you're completely lost, don't know where you are, can't find your bearings, they've got this little handy dandy cube, this view cube that they've got in the corner. I personally think it uses up too much of my memory, so I usually disable it. But if you find it useful, it has all of the coordinates on there. So it's got the front view, the left view, right view. So if I create a box here, let's go to the top view, just create a box, and then if I go the front, left, back, top. Right, and then we can even go to the bottom, and then you can use these guys to rotate. Right. So also, what I've been doing, what I just did there, I do these things without thinking about it now, so I have to kind of slow down. So if you do delete, Control Z will take you back, right? Control Z, but Control Y will step you forward. So Control Z will step back any action. Control Y will step forward any action. All right, and you've got a certain number of undos that you can do. You can even set up a property to have 20, 30, 100 undos that you can do, or you can have it to where you can only undo one time. The only problem is it stores all of those actions in memory cache. So you've got to be careful as to how many undos you're giving yourself. And because sometimes I'll be Control Z, and I'll go back at least sometimes 15, 20 steps, right? And the moment you model on top of that, you're going to lose all the iterations in front of it. So just keep that in mind as you're modeling. All right. So now we've got our fancy schmancy box here. So there are a few different types of modeling that I want you guys to kind of get your heads around, or there's a few different ways of creating and starting shapes. I apologize. That I want you guys to get your head around. And there are 1-step, 2-step, and sometimes even 3-step operations to creating things inside of 3ds Max. All right. So with 1-step operations, you just click once and you create it. Right. Making a sphere, that's just a 1-step operation. All right. A 2-step operation would be creating a box. Or now, with a cube though, it's a 1-step operation because a cube has 4 or 8 perfect sides. Alright? So, no matter what, the cube, if you make it a cube, it's going to make it in 1 step. But a box, because you can determine, right, the length, the length and width at first, and then the second click, right, you are determining the height, right? So those are two operations, right? This is a 2-step operation. This is a 1-step operation, all in one. And I know you guys are in 3D modeling and rendering 1, so I don't want to go too fast. And if you guys are saying, if you guys feel like I'm going too fast, let me know. Let me slow down, But once again, you guys can watch this after the fact. If you're missing something, if you felt like you didn't understand something, you can just come back to this video and watch it again. So that's a 2-step operation right there. A cone, however, is a 3-step. So you draw the diameter or the radius, and then you make the height, and then the third click, you draw your second radius, which is like the cone point, right? So that's a 3-step operation. So I've shown you 3 objects, all with different levels of creation in when it comes to their operational steps. So don't get, if you're like, why is this not creating what I wanted to create? Well, it might be a 2-step operation. It might be a 3-step operation. So you just need to watch out and pay attention to what your dialogue is showing you here. All right. And once you've created after the fact, you do have the opportunity once again to go in and affect the parameter. So if I've created my 2-3-step operation primitive, now I can select it, and if I don't like what it did at first, I can reduce the radius, right, of radius 1, radius 2, and then I can even increase and decrease the height, right? And then if I want, I can either add more segments to the side. If I wanted to, I could add cap segments, right? And I'll show you what cap segments can do, what the difference is if you don't have any cap segments. If I take off all my cap segments like that, right, I'll show you the difference in what you can get. This is a little bit of a tangent and not showing you, but you guys will, all this stuff comes back in the end. So if I throw a turbo smooth on that, you see this guy right here, how it's got all that weird pinching going on? Well, the problem is it doesn't have any supporting loops to support that edge transition. So what you would need to do is add those cap segments, and now if I throw a turbo smooth on top, you'll see that I don't get that weird starfish shape at the top anymore. All right, so that's referring to how your topology is. So think about your topology, and if you see something weird going on in your shape, you've got something funky going on, well, it might be that you don't have that secure. So you just want to make sure that you've got this part correct. All right, so now I've showed you guys how to make different shapes. Let's see. Let me take you guys through how you would go about rendering or presenting this. So in 3ds Max, there's a few ways to quickly get an image out. All right, I'm going to show you a few different ways, and hopefully they don't go over your head. And if they do, just come back to the video. All right. So the first way to get an image out, so whenever you guys are about to send me something, so you guys are saying, hey, I'm finished for the day, I feel like I've got enough, or I feel like I've done enough to show this is my progress. This is my progress report. All right. So there's a few ways you can show me that you've made progress on whatever model you've modeled. You've done some changes, and boom, you wanted to show it off. So the first thing I will always tell you to do is find a good shot. All right, find a good shot, which means most of your object fills the screen. Don't give me something like this. All right, don't give me something like this and say, hey, Mr. Todd, look at my model. I'm like, why are you showing me these ants? I can't comprehend this. All right. What I want you to do is you're going to zoom in, right? Alt Control, middle mouse, right? Allows me to dolly into my object, right? And I'm going to find a good render. Something that is aesthetically pleasing to look at. It fills up the screen. I don't have too much negative space going on, or at the very least, my ratio is good, right? The next thing, you've got this perfect shot. You don't want to lose this shot. To not lose this shot, create a camera for yourself. Control and C. Just like that, you've created a camera. Now, if I hit P on my keyboard, I can leave this view, right? I can leave this view to go look at the model, look at the placement, look at what's going on. And if I hit C again, I'm right back into that view. All right? What you don't want to do is while you're in your view and you've got it, you don't want to move around. You're going to mess up the shot you already had. Remember, you can hit Control Z to go back. Here's a way for you to make sure that your camera isn't going to move on you. You've got your shot. It's good to go. It's been approved, right? You can hit P to get out of your camera, and go into your perspective view, and then you can select your camera and then go into the third panel right up here in your link info. I'm just going to lock my X, Y, and Z movement, my rotation, and my scale. Right now, no matter what I do, I can't move it because I've locked my target down. I've locked all of these down. And once again, to lock it, you just go into this third panel, which is your hierarchy tab, right behind your pivot and your inverse kinematics. You've got your link info right here, and you can just lock any you can lock any object. But I always suggest you lock your camera so that now, even if you're in the view, you can't move. You're like, oh, why can't I move? Oh, I'm in my camera. Hit P, you can get out of your camera, right? So, you know, and I know somebody's going to be like, I set my camera, but I'm stuck. Okay, well, did you hit P to get out into your perspective? Even if you don't hit P, you can hit U, and that'll take you into an orthographic view. You just need to get out of that camera view. Right? So I've shared a lot with you guys so far. Shared a lot with you guys, how to create cameras, some movement, just some basic things like that. All right? So now we've got our camera set up and ready to go. I want to either do two things. I either want to render them if it's the final and I'm ready to present, but if it's a work in progress, I will permit you guys to use the screen grab option, right? Which is by going into my camera view, knowing I've got my shot ready. If I hit Shift F, it'll show me my safe frames of what will actually render. Don't need to do that because I'm doing an in-camera screen grab, right? So now to do that, I'm going to go into my my tools right here on my tab. I'm going to scroll all the way down to preview and grab viewport. All right. I don't need to create a tie flow preview. What I need to do is create a still image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this guy right here, grab this active viewport window right here, move it up a little bit, and make sure I don't have anything selected or I'm hovering over anything, because what it's going to do is it's going to give you this weird halo or this selection ring around your objects, and I do not want that at all. I do not want those selection rings. So make sure you have nothing selected, right? And then click here onto the desired, so you can set a label for it. So you can just go work in progress _ shot _1, and then maybe your first initial, last initial, last name initial, first name initial, last name initial, and then you can just grab the viewport. And what that's going to do is it's going to put my label down here. It's going to grab that viewport for me. And now this is the kicker, guys, because some people will get to this point and then start reaching for the snipping tool to do something. Do not snipping tool any image for my class. Do not snipping tool. Do not don't do that. Render it either from here or hit that teapot to get a full render of your object or your piece. So what you're going to do now is, you guys might be too young for this, but this guy right here is a floppy disk. You guys probably don't know what that is. If I have any older people in my class, you might know what a floppy disk is. For you guys, it is what was later replaced by CDs, and what replaced those is USBs. And now everything's on the cloud, so maybe in the future they'll just have a cloud button that they just use. But that is how you save things. It's essentially an old school flash drive. And hopefully your parents have put you on game and you know what these are. So this floppy disk here, you know, even if you can hover over it and it'll tell you what it is. So you can save your image. And now you want to navigate to somewhere that you can find the image. I'll save it on my desktop as work in progress _ my power here, and then boom, that's good to go. So now as the type, I want to set it as a JPEG. Now hit save, and then make sure I have the best quality on, hit OK, and now that has saved itself to my desktop. And now what I'm going to do is in my thread, right, and I'll go back into the general chat, and just to show you guys, you know, the process that I want you guys to kind of take. So here I'm going to go back into the chat and then find my image. But this will, imagine this is your personal thread. Right? And then you drag it, you drop it on that thing like there, and then you type in your comment. So this is where I am, is where I am in my asset. I will model the next piece tomorrow. Next piece, actually I will render soon, and I might need help with the cone. Alright. So tell me something, you know, what's going on, where you are, you know, if you need help, if you don't need help. So this is pretty much the process for how you guys should be posting your work. Right, and then I can come on your page, see, okay, if this person needs help, I need to, you know, help them with the cone, boom, boom, boom. I help where I can. You know, tell me what you're gonna do. Tell me what you're doing, and tell me what bottlenecks you're having. Right, and then you can close this out. The other method is, since we've got our camera, right, this is if you've set up not just your camera, but you've put a light in here. So let's make a, no, cancel. Let's make a Arnold light. Let's make an Arnold light, and then I'm gonna light this bad boy to the best of my abilities. So just gonna hit M on my keyboard, throw general Arnold atmosphere. Environment, let's throw physical sky in there. And I'll throw in the texture, hit OK, hit 90 on there. Then let's make sure we've got this set to 1. I'm going to hit C on my keyboard to go into my view. And then now it will render us an image that is hard to see. So now let's make sure. Alright, so let's go P, select this guy, and instead of a quad light, I'm going to make it a sky dome, and that's my issue. So now let's render it now. Alright, so now let's go into our view once again. Now I'm just going to hit render. So now we've got our beautiful cone. It is good to go. It's got nice lighting on it. The same way you would save that other one. You would save it using that floppy disk, right, to the desktop. And then once again, _ final. And then if you know extensions, you can just type in the extensions here. So you can just do .jpg. If you know that's the extension for JPEGs. If you know it's PN, you know, if you know these extensions, you can just type them in. And once again, right, once you're done, you post it in your thread like so. Grab that guy, boom. Upload. Here is my final. Boom. All right. So that's pretty much the process for how I would like you guys to save, upload, and present your stuff to me, right? I don't want small little images, right? The problem I kept running into is somebody would render this out and go, look, Can you critique my render, or can you critique my model and tell me what I need to do? Can you critique that? So yeah, I can't. The answer is no, I can't. So if I hit Shift C, I can hide the camera if it's getting too cumbersome. If I hit Shift and L, I can do the same for all the lights in the scene. Right? Shift C, Shift L. And if you can't find them, either way, you can just go into your tools for your lights. You can do the light lister, and that'll show you all the lights in your scene. If you refresh, it'll let you know, okay, I've updated, here are the new lights. All right. So that is pretty much it for these guys. So now I've showed you guys the basics of navigation, you know, how you guys should post, render stuff. The next portion of this, I guess, would be to go over what our assignment's going to be for this, for the most of this class, our overarching project. And I've had 2 or 3 ideas, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys vote on which ones you guys want to do. And you know, if you're thinking more for like something for a portfolio piece, you can use, you know, whatever metrics you need to use to judge them. Yeah, I've got 3 in mind that I want to do, and that's you know, that's my main ideas. I've got 3 I want to do, so I'll let you guys pick from those 3. All right, so let us go. All right, so from the pool, so the 3 that we have an option of doing is cancel, is Crash Bandicoot, right? So we would model these assets in here. So I've got a bigger picture of that. So we would model the assets, and then if we get time, we'll do the characters after, which is usually the process, my process for doing that, which is, you know. Okay, the next one would be to model, texture, and render this guy. If you watch anime, you know that this is the village hidden in the leaves. And yeah, so this would be the second one. And then the third idea that I had would be to do a Zelda poster. Not this one, but this one. All right, so I would go about how we would, you know, model all this stuff and then take it into a painting program, and you know, get some painterly brushes and how to create some of the birds, and you know, with either paint strokes or whatever we need to do to render out and get ourselves, you know, so something in the style of this, just because I don't know how much time we're gonna have. So you guys have 3 different options to pick from, and your assignment is going to be to pick from one of these. So we will, I'll make a poll, and then I will throw that poll online, and you guys can then vote as to which one you guys would like to do, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Is anybody partial to any of them right now? You guys know what you guys are going to vote for?
Maybe Crash.
Crash?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So